Hello, everyone. We are back. 2024 took a little hiatus post holidays because it was a crazy busy couple weeks. Had a giant soccer tournament, broke a rib. I started DJing. I think I'm going to be a DJ. Before I waste your time at the start of this, this is going to be the best 10 hikes in Sedona. Some absolutely incredible hikes. I just came back from 4 days there. I stayed at the Wild Resort and Spa, which is probably the best, like, affordable resort and spa in town. Obviously, there is L'Auberge and Enchantment, but those are like $900 a night, where the Wild was just incredible. Had everything you needed. But yeah, we're going to talk the 10 best hikes. My new number one, which is now up there in my favorite hikes in Arizona. Absolutely stunning. I need to update the 15 best hikes in Arizona and add this. So now there will be 16. And then another one I did that actually passes Devil's Bridge. So we're getting to that. I'm going to quick rant on some Sedona locals. If you're just listening to this, I'm making quote fingers because I don't know for sure if they're locals. But fast forward a minute or two if you just want to get to the hikes. But if you want a quick rant about bullying, then stay here. Stop being assholes, Sedona locals. Look, I get it. There are going to be people who do stupid things. Everyone who's listening, leave no trace. Don't carve your name into stuff. No one cares that Bill and Sally were here in 2014. Stop it. Pick up your trash. Very simple. Just bring it back out. And all the other leave no trace principles, which I'm not going to go through. Maybe I'll do a different podcast on it. But just common sense. However, Sedonas are like bullying a ton of bloggers. I'm sure you're going to be me after this, but like this one I have, she's like getting called just awful names. I hope you die. All these things because she's talking about going hiking in public space. And sure, like myself, her, and others are maybe revealing secrets. But that's no need to tell people to die. I know recently the subway, the ruins by the subway, and I say ruins in quotes, if you can't see this, those I'm going to say are not ruins from like the, was it 1500 AD when the people were living in said areas. I'm sure they're quite refurbished. I am not an archaeologist. I've never claimed to be, but I've been to those ruins a few times and they're just rocks stacked on top of each other. And there's no like clay joining them. You could literally just breathe and push them over or lean on them and push them over. I don't think people were living in that as they were constructed, and they're just refurbished. Maybe that was a little cave where people lived. I'm not going to say they didn't do that. It's quite a small cave for people to live in with all the giant caves in the area. Semantics. But I know I'm going to get in trouble for this, but I will go on record. I exposed COVID as being overblown. I'm going to expose the subway ruins as being overblown just from common sense. There's no clay structure. There's nothing holding the bricks together. That's my rant. So some asshole pushed them over or broke them somehow, and that's awful. Don't do that. Just they got reconstructed. No one do that anymore. Simple. The people are bullying and saying just awful things. They also go rock climbing where they put full on like those anchors into a rock face. Now, again, not an archaeologist, someone like a rock enthusiast or marine biologist even. But I'm pretty sure sticking anchors into a rock face, especially one that erodes quite easily, is not leaving no trace. So let's just calm down on cursing people out. Also, if you own a house, I assume they do. I mean, your property value has gone up 10 times since maybe you bought it or your grandparents left it to you. I get it. I hate things being overrun. I hate that there's a million people at Devil's Bridge. It's annoying. But also, one I love people maybe getting outside and not wanting to kill themselves and exploring and seeing the world. the entire world's getting overpopulated. So it's not anyone's fault that Devil's Bridge is now overpopulated, or San Diego beaches are overpopulated, or anything. The world is. And so it's just happening. Unfortunately, it's a truth that we have to live with. And yeah, things are going to get exposed. People are going to go to Subway. People are going to go to the hike I'm about to talk about because I am telling people to do it. But you know what? It's life's short. I'd rather inspire someone to get outside and maybe they lose 50 pounds and don't want to kill themselves because they just were inspired by the outdoors, just like you people who are being bullies were and are. So relax. Stop being assholes. I'll just say assholes. There's other words I want to use, but I won't. Let's get into the top 10 hikes in Sedona. Now that we brought it down, should we go 10 to 1 or 1 to 10? Let's go 1 to 10 because then that'll make you have to listen. As always, if you just want to not listen to my annoying voice, you can just go to the website and it's everything on Sedona's there. Top restaurants. I'm writing a top bars one right now. Top wineries, best hikes, the bucket list that you have to do. 6 minutes of ranting and we didn't even get to the best hikes. Let's go 10 to 1. Number 10, we'll try and fly through the less cool ones, is Cathedral Rock. Nice. It's moderate. It's got a cool little view. It's one of the vortex spots in Sedona. It's hard parking. It's very congested. There's like a spot on the rock that is kind of like Devil's Bridge. You're just waiting for people to move from that spot so you can take your picture. Also, don't be the jerk who just sits in that area and pretends like you're meditating, which go meditate somewhere else. I understand it's a pretty view. Be respectful to other people who came and did the hike because they want a pretty picture for their vacation to show their family. Maybe their grandparents lived through them and they want to show all the cool hikes they're doing. Don't IG shame people. Just let people live. No more IG shaming. Myself, because I'm one of those, so stop. But yeah, stop just sitting in a place like Devil's Bridge or wherever people want to take pictures and just getting in the way. I'm being really negative. Sorry about that, everyone. I think I was positive about go hike and get outside, right? Number 9. I just passed it. Number 9. Oh, the Keyhole Cave. I might even put this up higher past Devil's Bridge. Keyhole Cave, very cool. Full directions on the website. And yeah, it's kind of hard to find. Parking is very limited because there's only a small parking lot in like a residential area. So even if you don't park in the parking lot, if there's no space, there's not much street parking because it's like illegal to park on the street. So you kind of have to drive around to find a spot to park. But it's very difficult at the end. So if you're scared of heights and you don't have good hiking or trail running shoes, then do not attempt this because at the end to get into the cave is treacherous, to say the least. Go to the right side. Again, full directions, go on the site, inspiretraveleat.com, and then go search Sedona Best Hikes. But it's honestly really treacherous getting up into the cave, so don't do it unless you have grippy shoes. I hike everything in trail runners. I have Sauconys. They're the greatest. They don't make them anymore. I just ordered some new ones of the exact same shoe. But yeah, just make sure you don't have like those metal-y or plastic bottom ones that are slippery. They're good for like mud. So maybe if you're hiking in Hawaii or somewhere very rainy, but not like rock faces. So you'll want just trail runners or hiking shoes that have like that rubbery grip, not the plasticky or metal grip. But yeah, Keyhole Cave, really pretty, cool hike, not tons of people. Gets a little bushwhacky at the end. And then, like I said, hard to get up into at the end as well. Number 8, Devil's Bridge. I know a lot of people's favorites. It is down on the list for me for a couple reasons. 1, the billions of people at it, of course. 2, if you don't have a 4x4, it's like you have to walk down the Jeep path. There's some other trails you can take as well, but it's just a boring hike, walk down a dusty Jeep path with 4x4s going by you, pink Jeep tours, tons of people. And then the hike, if you get to a 4x4 to the trailhead, The hike itself is just kind of boring as well. The end result, the picture, very cool, very pretty. I guess if I'd never done it before, it's a must do, but I would just only do it in non-peak seasons and weekdays. Like a weekend and a peak season, kill me. I've heard there's like 1 to 2 hour waits to take the picture. So don't do that if you can. If you can't, then whatever. Number 7. I should move this up higher. Just my system. I should move it up higher. The Subway Cave, as talked about, the hike's pretty along Boynton Canyon Trail, and then you kind of go off to the right. Again, you need full directions and screenshot the directions or save the video, because once you're out there, you have no service. So lots of people will try to pull this article up on their phone and then not be able to. The directions, for each of these hikes, don't just go to the best 10 hike in Sedona article, because I don't cover it too much. Go to the article itself about each individual hike, because it has all the directions and how to get there. Again, leave no trace. Don't touch things. Don't carve names in the wall. Be respectful. It's getting very busy as well, which apparently is my fault. And I'm fine with it. If you just hiked for the first time and you saw this view and it inspired you to be outdoors more and hike more, and then it was trickle-down event effect where you brought more friends to get outside, that's fine. I'll take that any day of the week, especially in this day and time of mental illness. So get on outside. Number 6, Wet Beaver Creek, but only if you go with my recommendation along the creek pretty much the entire way, or 70 to 80% of the way, until it gets kind of sketchy. The hike itself, if you just go along the trail, is boring, awful. It's not in Sedona itself. It's just outside, so there's no real red rocks. It's just kind of like some greenish mountains, hills, a path that's like the sun's bearing down on you. There's no shade cover, and it's long. It's like, let me remind, 7 miles out and back. So I mean, 3.5 miles each way in just open sun, no views. So the trick and the tip is to, I'd say, like after about a quarter of a mile or less, you'll see to the right there's some open pastures that lead to the creek, and just go down there at any point and then hike along the creek. There's not really a path. You go across the water a few times, you hike up the water, bring some shoes that can get wet. I just always use my trail running shoes, and they're lightweight, light socks, and I just walk through the water. They self-dry, or just don't. That's fine because it's warm. And you just go back and cross. There is trails kind of along the water at some points. Then there's not. Then you just kind of make your own trail along the way. Walk across the rocks. Walk in the water. There's so many pretty views. There's a bunch of little swimming holes. You'll come across locals who are just hanging out in other tiny swimming holes instead of the actual crack. The crack being the giant cliff jumping pool area where everyone goes. So going along that way is incredible. And again, I could make this one of my favorite hikes if you go along that way as well. It is one of my favorite hikes, but like top 4 instead of 7th on the list, or 6th, whatever it is. I forget. I lost count. But stunning. And I had another tip for it. Oh, it's very busy. So again, on the weekends, people like bring speakers, and it's definitely a hangout where people are drinking a little bit and all that. So be prepared for that. It's not some nature retreat. It is if you go along the way, but once you get to the crack, the swimming hole, then it's pretty busy. So again, if you don't want that, go during non-peaks times, go during the weekday. In the summer, obviously, is great because you can walk in the water, especially if you're coming from Phoenix or southern Arizona where it's super hot. It's still going to be hot, but along the water, it's shaded the entire way. And you're in the water, can stop for a dip, lunch, picnic, whatever you want. I love it. New to the list, number 5, Vaulty Arch via Sterling Pass. Hard hike. By the way, going backwards, the Wet Beaver Creek is moderate in terms of hiking. This is all on the site, by the way. So that one's kind of easy. It's a little sketchy on the rocks and such, so you don't want to have bad ankles or be super old and try and walk through that. Whatever super old is to you, you can be the judge of that. I won't be ageist. Sedona, moderate hike, and the one before Keel Cave is a moderate hike until the end. Then it's very difficult, so don't do that unless you're okay with it. I had to hold multiple people's hands going down Keyhole Cave and up, and some didn't even make it. Like I had to help people down. I was basically the hiking version of what's his name from Baywatch, Hasselhoff, without the muscles. I feel like I'm better looking though. To be, I'm gonna be right flat off. I never found him good looking, so you can be the judge, I guess. That's the lighting. It's okay here. Back to Vaulty Arch. Amazing hike. Better than Devil's Bridge. Similar idea. Not as large and maybe not as good of a backdrop, but there's no one there. The hike is hard. If you've ever done Camelback Mountain, it's like that, doing that twice just to get over the pass, and then you hike even more to get to the arch. So it's hard, but it being hard is what I love, because then no one else does it. And I went at the end of the day, so a lot of people obviously don't go at the end of the days. And I was by myself on the arch, and it was the most peaceful moment I've had in like 10, 15 years, maybe in my entire life, because I don't think I have peace in my life. It was no one around, just listening to the wilderness. I sat down on the arch and just chilled. I wanted to stay longer, but it was getting dark, and I have a thing with staying out too late when it's dark, and then it's scary. So we try not to do that. But incredible hike. There's other ways to get there. Like if you have a 4x4, you can do it and actually go from the Vaulty Arch trailhead. So it's not as difficult as the Sterling Pass, but then it's less nice of a hike. The Vaulty Arch hike is super cool, hard. But yeah, 4x4 and you want it easier, then go down that dusty Jeep path. You can just Google map it. Simple enough. Love that. Number 3, a favorite. Oh, number 4? So that was number 5. Sorry, counting's hard. 4, most everyone knows about this place, but the number 1, not many people know about it. So keep on waiting for number 1. West Fork Trail, common one, simple. You cross the water a few times. You can go as far as you want. It goes back out there like 3.5 miles, I think. And then you can come back for a round trip of 7 miles. Or if you just want to stop after a mile or a couple of crossings, I think you cross 7 or 9 times, I forget. But you cross the water a bunch. There's different views every time. It's really pretty, especially if you just have kids, it's up in the water. You do have to cross the water. You probably will get wet. There are stones that help, but they're not foolproof. I mean, I guess you don't have to get wet, but there's a decent chance. And what else? Don't go when there's rain. I've gone probably 10 times, and 3 of the times it's been like a flash flood. One time we couldn't even go very far. So keep an eye on the weather. And yeah, parking, the thing that sucks, parking, there's not much. You can park along the road versus the parking lot, because the parking lot you could be waiting in line forever, because like I said, it's an easy hike, it's an accessible hike. So lots of people, which is the negative about it. Yeah, parking I think costs $10 per person, or if you just park up the road, then it's free. Just it's along a very busy road, so be careful. Then number 3, Soldiers Pass to the Caves. Soldiers Pass just by itself, not as cool. Getting into the caves is like you're in the Hardy Boys or some sort of adventure book. It's incredible. It's kind of hard to get it up in there. You can just get someone to boost you up. But once you're in there, it's so pretty. I love it. On that hike as well, you get the 7 sacred pools, which is kind of BS because they're just like little puddles. They should be called the 7 sacred puddles that are mostly dirty. How sacred they are, I don't know. I've already been blasphemous about the ruins at the subway, so I don't want to blaspheme. I'm a journalist and have my master's. I don't know if blaspheme is a word. Let's check that out just so everyone knows. Like, I know you can be blasphemous, but how the hell don't I know this? Blaspheme. Speak irreverently about God or sacred things. Huh. So yeah, I guess that would be I'm blaspheming because they are sacred pools. What? That's perfect. About God or sacred things. I literally was blasphemous if they are indeed sacred pools. I'm going to get struck by lightning or break an ankle next time I hike by the sacred pools. And there's also the sinkhole on that hike. So you get the sinkhole, you get the super duper sacred godly pools that we don't blaspheme, and then the caves. The caves are a little bit hard to find. So again, go to the full article on the website to find those so you don't get lost. And again, screenshot it all or save it offline because there's a good chance you might not have service when you get out there and then you can't find the caves. Leave no trace again. Don't carve your name into shit, please. Then, I think that's pretty much it on Soldier's Pass. Lovely little hike. Number 2, which was my favorite hike, Bear Mountain. It's difficult, but the views are the second best views for common hikes in Sedona. Number 1 will have the best views, as you'll find out. But Bear Mountain Trail, it's not very heavily trafficked. The parking's pretty wide open just because it is such a hard hike. And just kind of you'll turn around a bunch of different corners, and there's so many different rock formations and different views, and it's pretty exposed, so it can get hot, but it's really pretty. So definitely do that if you have the chance. And yeah, I don't have much to say about it. Just go on the site inspiretraveleat.com if you want to read more about it, directions, but this one's pretty straightforward. You can't get lost because it's just the trail you follow the entire way. Now to number 1. I'm going to put it in, sorry, I have itchy nose. I'm going to put it in it's definitely the best Sedona hike. And I think it'll be top 15 Arizona hikes. I don't know where though. I'm going to update that article after this. But it's cool. It's the hike without the end, the payoff is just a really pretty hike by itself. It's almost or equal to Bear Mountain in terms of just so much beauty along the way. Rock formations, it's very lush. You could think you're in Zion for a while, which Zion is better than Sedona, which sounds crazy to say, but it's absolutely stunning. So you have to go to Zion if you've never been. It's just beautiful. It's bigger. It's just bigger. There's the Narrows, Angel's Landing, their subway, which is cooler than the subway at Sedona. Sedona does have the wineries, so that it's kind of got you beat there, but there's also like you can tube in Zion. I'll do a Zion podcast and you listen to it or not if you even made it this far. But number 1, I didn't tell you the name of it yet. It is the Windows via Hangover Trail. So there are 6 or 7 windows with incredible views. You basically crawl up into the little window area and look out. And it just gives you like this perfect frame of some incredible sights and different, like all sides of Sedona. The hike itself, you actually have like a 360 view of the entire area. So you see Sedona in the distance. You see was it Oak Creek Canyon, I think? The one way, and then other valleys the other way. So pretty. Well, if you're still listening, go in the winter to Sedona. That's the best time to go. Hands down, no crowds. It's the snow just adds so much to it. Obviously, you couldn't do, if there's fresh snowfall, you couldn't do the Windows hike. It is hard, but there's like fires. You go by the fireplace. It's so cozy and quaint. And yeah, you bundle up. It's perfect. I think Sedona in the winter is the best time to go by far. So do that. Back to the windows. It is a very hard hike. So to get up into the windows is like you're mountain goating it up the side of a rock cliff face. And so if you don't have very good shoes, don't do it. If you're not comfortable with heights, don't do it. If you're not, I would say whatever's right below expert hiker, don't do it. You don't need to be an expert. Just don't be shitty. I would say like a 7 out of 10 or above could do it. Also, I have a tour guide company. I don't know if you know this. So I take customized tours. InspireTravelEat.com. There's a link for it. Email me, Fraser at InspireTravelEat.com. Message me through any social media platform. But yeah, so I'll curate an entire day or 2 days for you. We'll go to wineries. We'll go to the best hikes. I'll be your guide. I'll say guide, travel agency all in one. Or we don't even have to do Sedona. Payson, I love Payson. There's so much stuff to do. Or go up to Page. But yeah, back to windows. Stunning hike. Just it is hard. Watch out for mountain bikers. I've got a bunch of tips on the site. I can roll through a couple right now since we're finishing anyways. Tips for this. Pros, best hike in Sedona. Multiple window lookouts. I already said all these. Lots of mountain bikers, so don't have AirPods in or headphones on, because you'll need to listen for mountain bikers who are zipping by because it's a very popular mountain biking trail. Also, there's like a rock fall area. There's a full rock garden, so you'll probably want to listen to that just in case there is a rock fall and so you don't die. There's a bonus cave as well, the Window Cave Lookout off Munns Trail. Go clockwise. Don't go counterclockwise. Clockwise because the mountain bikers go counterclockwise because that's where it starts, the mountain bike trail. So it's good so you can see them coming versus like them be behind you and maybe you don't see them and they're like yelling at you from behind and they do that whole ding, 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 ding. So yeah. And then also there's a couple parts where going up the rock face is easier than going down. It'd be very slippery. Also, don't go and do this hike at all if it's wet or anything because you won't be able to get up to the windows. It's hard enough when it's dry with good grippy shoes. The entire directions to the windows via Hangover Trail is on the site. Just search windows in InspireTravelEat.com and you'll be able to find it. Stunning, great place. And you can do it via, if you have a 4x4, you can start at Hangover Trailhead or Cow Pies. If you don't have a 4x4, you have to start at, I think it's Munns Wagon. From Munns Wagon Trailhead, which adds another 2 miles, 2.5 miles, 3 miles. It adds 3 miles because you have to hike from the parking lot up to Hangover Trail, which I think is like 1.5 miles, and then do the loop, come back down, and then 1.5 miles back down from the trailhead again. But it's really pretty. It takes 3 to 5 hours, and I love it. Again, leave no trace. So I don't know, people stop bullying people. I'm sure you're going to come after me at some point. But just spread happiness and ask people to leave no trace versus bully people for telling secrets or places to hike. Because that's just, it's going to happen whether it's one person or the other. The world's overpopulated. All we can ask is to try and make people be more respectful of nature while you respect those people helping people get into nature. This is InspireTravelEat.com. I'm your host, Fraser Laveay. This is the best podcast in the universe. Possibly. More to come. Bye.